Hello and welcome to today's episode of Authentic Achievements, where it's my absolute delight to be joined by the fabulous Lady Jen Du Plessis. Lady Jen, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today.
Oh, me too. I'm so excited. And I know from all of our previous conversations, we can get stuck in quite quickly. So before we do, let me share a little bit more about you with our audience. So Lady Jen is a dynamic leader renowned for transforming powerhouse businesses into companies that run smoothly without the need for daily intervention by its leaders. Lady Jen Du Plessis, DC, which is Dame Commander, is known as the team building and scaling architect who boasts over 40 years in finance with over $400 million in revenue generated. I mean, wow. She knows exactly how to build wealth through strategic team scaling, sustainable systems, and high impact leadership, and has helped over 8,000 entrepreneurs leap from practitioners to thriving enterprises to achieve the pinnacle in their business. She's a celebrated numerous Amazon #1 best-selling author, a podcaster, TV host who delivers real transformation, not just fast profits. And so her clients can achieve both business success and personal fulfillment. She cherishes her life in the countryside, enjoying local wineries, ballroom dancing, and quality time with the family. I just want to know, do you have more than 24 hours?
I don't. I have the same 24 you have.
So can you bring that journey to life? There's so many questions. So if you could start with kind of really enriching that for us.
Jenny. Yeah, the Jenny, so let me ask everybody this, that life gives us battles, right? We all have battles, in our personal lives and business, whether we make the right decision in our business, we have family troubles, right? There's just, sleepless nights. We have all these battles that we have. And, for me, I carried a sword, right? Most of my life is being called Jenny who ain't got a penny. And my uncle had nicknames for all of us. I'm one of 36 first cousins. But we all had nicknames, but mine happened to be Jenny who ain't got a penny. And what made it worse is that this was my reality. My father was an alcoholic. My mother was a verbal abuser, and I was smushed in between them all the time. They're fighting and battling. And to make matters worse, I was an only child. I was the only one of all of us that was an only child. And so I isolated myself and I shielded myself. And, I didn't want anyone else to know that was going on behind the scenes. And, it was like wearing a coat of armor. It was literally like that. And I fought really hard to prove that I was more than, these circumstances, that I was worthy, that I had worth. And that's how I spent most of my childhood and my teens, all the way into my work life, right? And I'll stop there because that's where, I took it into my work life, and that's how I was able to succeed. But it was like a super achiever, right? And not happy doing it.
I mean, what a journey. And I think it kind of really brings to life just how harmful and impactful the things that are said to us when we're really little can be. And how we go inward of ourselves to protect ourselves from any more of that. And it so resonates that it then almost turns you into that overachiever because you're driving for that perfection so that you won't get hurt again. Would that be fair?
Oh, yeah. I thought if I'm perfect, my dad won't drink. If I'm perfect, my mom won't yell at me. So I was perfect in school. I was pre-med. I was going to be a cardiologist. I was runner-up. Well, I was Miss Colorado Springs, and then I was runner-up Miss Colorado. I was a tennis champion. I played flute and piccolo in the Colorado Springs Symphony as a teenager, and there was no one else in there, right? So it's like this constant overachievement. But it's a strive for perfection is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's hard, isn't it? Because perfection doesn't exist.
No.
But when you're stuck on that wheel chasing perfection, you kind of almost can't get off. So how did you? What was your breakthrough moment?
Yeah. Well, I realized that wielding a sword, all the time. You can only go so far. You can only fight for so long. And even when you win something, you're exhausted. You're burnt out. You're free, right? All of that. And it just wore me down. And so my husband and I and our kids went to dinner one night, and I got a phone call from a client. And I know you all can understand this, right? Because we're business people. And so as soon as we get a phone call, we take it. We're on demand, not in demand, right? And I took that phone call and I sit outside of that restaurant, walking back and forth on what I call the concrete balance beam, right? Because we're walking and talking and walking, and we're doing pirouettes as we're turning, and and I'm waving to people as they're going into the restaurant. I was even holding the door, covering the phone, and saying, "Oh, this place is great." And I wasn't getting paid for any of it, and I was just filled with anxiety because I told my husband, "I'm just going to be a minute. My client needs me." And I knew I wasn't going to be a minute. So I was, my stomach was in knots. I knew he was going to be mad at me again. My client wasn't winning. They weren't getting my attention. And I looked over into the restaurant window and I said, the window of the restaurant, and they were over there and they were having fun and creating all these beautiful memories. And I was never in them. So have you ever felt like you're in a train and everything's just going by? And I just thought it was time to get off the train. And that's when I said, enough is enough. I am done proving. I'm going to start living, and I'm going to figure out a way that I can create the same amount of revenue that I was doing, only working 4 days a week instead of 8.
Wow. I mean, it so resonates, particularly the concrete balance beam. I've definitely done my share of learning that exercise, and it's awful, isn't it? Because you feel like you're letting absolutely everybody down. You're not there fully for your client, you're not there for your family, you're not there for yourself, and like all of those. So who am I there for? Because this is exhausting,
right?
That is the dream, isn't it? Is how do we recreate our life so that we get the life we want, but without losing ourselves in the process. So how did you go about that? I mean, obviously the first
it's a really interesting way, because when I was in financial services, everybody covets they don't want to share. So I really had to go, externally for a lot of it, outside of the industry. So I had lots of mentors, or not mentors, but people I could look up to. But here's what I realized. I realized that they looked really successful on the outside, but they were miserable on the inside. And they were still in the hustle, even at the levels of success that they were. Now, remember, I wasn't looking to make more money. I was just trying to find a way to make the same amount of money that I was making with a better way. And so I went to Les Brown, I went to Darren Hardy, I went to Barbara Corcoran, I went to all of these people that I had seen that were uber successful that I wanted to model, but modify. And unfortunately, I couldn't do it within my own industry, bits and pieces. So I ended up almost starting from scratch, right? But here's what I learned. I learned that, and I'm going to paraphrase this a couple times. Mindset plus mechanics equals momentum. Mechanics doesn't equal momentum. That was the sword. That was the fighting, right? The sword, the dig, the go, the do wasn't creating momentum. So I had to step back and say, wait a minute, I want to increase my emotional intelligence. I have a very high IQ, but that wasn't getting me very far. Right? But if I could level and promote myself, right? Promote my mindset and my thinking, and gain some more and learn how to have more emotional intelligence, then I could combine those two and I would create momentum. Today, I refer to that as the scepter, because having been knighted, right, I was like, whoa, so this is, there's wielding the sword, the doing, and then there's holding the scepter, wielding it maybe, and that is the being. And the combination of the two is what took me really, really far, because I had to just grow up. grow up and become a sovereign leader, right? To know when to use either. It's not the sword or the scepter, it's the sword and the scepter. And great leaders know how to use both. And so I started creating these 5 steps to become an elite business owner. Les Brown says, if you're casual about your business will become a casualty.
Yeah.
And I said to him one day, because I used to travel with him, I said, Les, there is nothing casual about what I'm doing. I'm working my tushy off. And he said, yeah, but it's all skimming the surface.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, so what do I really want to be? Who do I want to be? And I wanted to be, the word elite comes out. It's just what happened with me. I said, I want to be an elite business owner, and I want to elevate and promote myself up to a level that moves me from commodity and needing to be on demand and like a chicken with my head cut off to someone who people look up to. It's not a snobby thing. It's just a personal elevation of, hey, I am worthy, right? Especially for me. I am worthy, and doggone it, I'm good at what I do. As are all of you listening, you're good at what you do. But I had these moments of imposter syndrome and these moments of not, the lack of surety that made me realize, hey, I really am that good at what I do. So I had to define elite. It means having the highest character, the highest integrity, being an expert, not a sort of expert, not a pretend expert, but a true expert, which meant studying. And it meant learning, and it meant modeling other people and modifying to my personality. And then I realized, hey, is everybody I'm working with casual about their business too? Maybe I'm in the wrong group of association. So that's where this all started, is me just saying, hey, I don't want to be a commodity. I don't want to be a coach, a salesperson, a leader. I want to be
I love that. I love that, stepping in and owning your power, owning your strength, because we go through life, and we have lots of lived experiences, and we know life likes to throw us the odd plot twist or two that we get through and we learn from, and each one levels us up. If, as you so rightly said, if we just grow up. We only grow through the pain if we go through the pain.
That's right. Oh, I love that. I love that. I hope you should say that again so everybody can hear it.
So I believe that we only grow through our pain when we go through our pain. We can't avoid it. We can't go around it. We have to go through it. And in looking at it like that, and looking at the fact that, in those moments when the chips are down and you've got another plot twist, as I say to my little girl all the time, the one thing to remember is you have survived 100% of the shots life's taken at you.
Yeah.
One hell of a batting average.
Yes. Yeah. All of us, right? All of us have done that. Look where we're at. Yeah.
So we've got a really good batting average. So trust that you've got this one too. And I love that actually what you did was kind of step in and go, no, I'm not just that's not for me.
Right.
And actually, the other part that I thought was really poignant in what you said is you were very clear in defining what it was for you, not defining what it should be for anybody else.
Yeah.
Was like, this is what came up for me. Because I think so often we kind of almost have group defined success, and then we hit it, but at the point we don't feel successful, we don't feel fulfilled. Whereas it sounds to me like what you did was actually really go inward and intentionally design what success looks like for you, and then go after it. Would that be fair?
Oh, yeah. And that's one of the reasons, that I'm known as the team building and scaling architect, because it is customized for everybody. I don't want one size fits all, because one size fits all did not fit me. Right? For everyone's definition of success. And nowadays it's, I want to make $1 million. It used to be 100,000. Now it's $1 million. And that's not necessarily the success for me. For me, actually, that's a byproduct of all the activities that I focus on. And a lot of times that is the byproduct of what my clients have as well, is that we focus on what really is their definition of success. And we look over and go, wow, and look at that. There you are. And that's how I got to $400 million in revenue. Was I wasn't focused on the number. I was focused on the activities that made me happy. And the number came. And wow, is that good? Now, if I have a client that wants the number, we'll go after the number as well. But yeah, I love that you say that, because can I tell you a quick story?
Please do.
So I thought success was owning a Mont Blanc pen. I was, I think, 27, 28 years old, and everybody had a Mont Blanc pen. You and I've talked about this before, because I know you have one now. Right? But for me, the Mont Blanc pen was everything, and when the day I finally got in, opened up that box and had the velvet in, and it was all cushioned in there, and I pulled it out, and I would always show the brand, while I was signing documents, and oh, look at me. But one day I had used it so much, the threads, and mine was a screw-on. The threads were so bad that I yanked on it in front of a client, and all the ink went in my hair, and my face, and my eyes, and my teeth, and in my suit. And in that moment, I went, "Ooh, this isn't success for me. It might be for someone else, but it's not. I need to find another success." And and that was part of that whole transition for me. Of course, it didn't happen that day. It wasn't until I was in my 40s that I finally got it. That day, I knew it wasn't success for me. I said, I don't need the Mont Blanc pen, but I still hadn't figured out what success really meant for me. But I love that you're saying that. Yeah, we're stepping back and we're saying, what's that purpose-driven life? And we hear this a lot, right? But why do I want to really, really accomplish? What is it that I want to accomplish? Because I know it's not working 8 days a week, which I talk about because I used to write notes in the middle of the night as I remembered things. And that's where the 8 days comes in. And if you're doing that, it's time to stop, right? You owe it to yourself.
Oh, that's so true. And it's so resonates. I remember at one point joking that I was trying to amalgamate Saturday and Sunday into Sunday so that I could pretend that I had some time.
Right.
And yet you'd still end up and you're right, it wasn't successful, but I too was in financial services, and the Mont Blanc pen was success until you got it and when it's just a pen.
Yeah,
it's just a pen, and actually that's not something that lights me up inside. That's not something that makes me go, I love this. Actually, as you mentioned earlier, when you recognize things that you're missing out on, the memories that your family are creating, that you are either not part of, or even worse than that, you will be remembered for being outside looking in.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, all the time. Yeah.
Not being there at all. It's like kind of you're almost there. It's a reminder that you're not. And so I love that. Therefore, you had the foresight to go, actually, this needs to be different. And as you said to the people listening and watching, if this is how you're feeling right now, take this as your sign that it's time to take a pause and really think about what it is you want from your life. Because if not, life keeps going. And all of a sudden you find yourself like 5 years, 10 years down the line going, how am I still here?
Yeah.
As Colin Firth says in Mamma Mia 2, there is absolutely no point climbing to the top of the ladder if it's on the wrong wall.
Right. Oh, yeah. I've used that before too. And a lot of times we don't know because we don't look up, we don't take the time to recognize that and to look up. And I would say, let me ask you this question, is that if you're, and I know, because this is for me, if there's a period of time in your life, I'll be 62 in a couple months, or next month, I guess I'll be 62. And there's a period of my life that is a fog.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an absolute fog. I know I was working. I know my kids were being raised. I know I was taking care of them. I know I paid my bills. I know I went to church. And worse off, I know I went on vacation, but I don't remember any of it. Wow. If that's you, if there's a portion of your life that's a fog, then you could be in the hustle that I'm talking about, right? This mechanics. the sword. You could be in that hustle and it's time to move to harmony, right? I wanted harmony, but I still wanted to make money. So I said, I got to get out of the hustle and I need to get into harmony. And but the telltale for me, as you were sitting there talking, is there's periods of my life that are foggy. I don't remember being there.
Wow. And I mean, that hits hard, doesn't it? When we find ourselves in those moments where we also have to acknowledge that we are, we're not the victim of our circumstance, we're the product of our choices.
Yes.
And that's perhaps the hardest lesson for me to learn. And I was like, oh my goodness, all of this was my fault, in that I could have chosen at any point to do something different intentionally. And I think sometimes that, that's the piece, isn't it? It's going, if actually we can, if we do it with intention, if we're clear what it is that we want to do. And what I loved in your story is that when you became clear that you didn't want to be something, you wanted to be the something, and you wanted to be the elite something. So actually really step in and own all that you bring, all that you've learned, all of the lived experience that you've got, and really step into that. Because if not, we start to diminish it for other people, don't we? If we can't own our own power, then nobody else gets to see that shine.
Yeah. Well, and just like you said, I love that quote. I'm going to get it afterwards from you, but we're not victim of our circumstances. We're something of our choices, right? Yeah. Product of our choices. Even when my kids started getting married, they would go places and I was jealous.
Wow.
Right. And I was like, well, that's nice. You could go. That's not, have you used those words? Right. Well, isn't that nice? You get to go. Aren't you the lucky one? You have the luxury of. In fact, years ago, I used to call my program Living a Luxury Lifestyle, but I had to define it for everyone because I never had the luxury of going on the school field trip with my kids, or the luxury of taking my kids to every single practice that they had of something, or the luxury of being at all their games. And I wanted that luxury, but I was playing the victim. I'm so sorry, I can't go there. My client needs me. I'm doing the best I can. I promise I'll be late. I won't be late. I'll be late. When I'm late, I'll give you all these excuses. But really, I was a product, I was a victim of my own decisions, right? Or a product of my own decisions. But I was playing the victim.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that. That's so powerful. Because that was exactly me. I was being the victim. And I finally just said, I don't want to be the victim. I just want to be the victor, right? The victor. And that's making that shift. And I don't think we all realize we're in it until someone like me or you comes on and starts talking about it, because then we start realizing, and that's what I want to do for people. I want to increase their awareness that they're in it, so that they don't have to discover it later and have lost out on many years of, memories, opportunities, income, health.
I love that, because we do need to be more present. And I think that's, it's one of the things, isn't it, that we often think we're present and we're busy. And, the saying says, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, because they haven't got the time to tell you they can't do it, because they're too busy in that kind of hamster wheel piece. That you then a case of saying, actually, the one thing that we only have a finite amount of is time. And how do we get intentional with our time? Because no matter how much money or anything else that we get, that's going to be the one thing that we can't buy more of.
Yeah. Intention is everything. I have a little card here that says this on it. Every single morning I see it. It's sitting over here. Intention is everything. And that was really my transition. There's 365 cards that I can choose from that have these quotes every day. This one stays out of the box.
Yeah.
Because this is the most poignant for me. is to remind me that intention is everything, which means that every day I do one thing that moves the needle in my business. I do one thing that moves the needle in my life. Maybe it's eating choices, working out, dancing, spending time with family, right? But I do one thing every day that moves the needle in my life and my business. And then the rest of the day can fall to heck in a handbasket if it wants to. Right?
I love that. We're definitely kindred spirits. I used to have the world's longest to-do list, and then I would start my day with what everybody else needed to get done, and all the time have that bit going in the back of my mind going, I haven't done any of my things now. I've done none of them.
Yeah.
And I love that pick one thing. So I learned probably about 18 months ago, at the end of every day, I would sit down and go, what one thing has to happen tomorrow for tomorrow to be a success?
Yeah.
And I do it as soon as I finish the school run. And I won't take calls and I won't do anything else. That I would do that one thing, and then the rest of the day you can have all of my time.
Right. And you'll do multiple things, but you'll feel like you had a success. Yeah. The great Jim Rohn says, if you discipline yourself, no one else gets the opportunity to discipline, right? So we have to discipline ourselves. And when we don't, then it becomes, like you said, everyone else's list. I love when you say this list. I call it a laundry list. We all know, all these phrases that we have are a reason. Laundry list for me is that when you do laundry and you take it out of the dryer, right? Or off a clothesline or whatever you do, and you put it into a basket, it is a laundry list of things to do. And what we do is when we fold everything, we don't fold a pair of pants and run it to the bedroom and put it in a drawer and then come back and then get one sock and run it to a different bedroom and put it in a drawer and then come back. And why? Because it's not efficient. Now, if you want to work out, that's great, but it's not efficient. Yet we do this all day long with the emails that come in and the texts that come in. Hey, look at this funny video. Hey, look at this. Hey, can you be on this show? Can you do that? Can you follow up? Did you get the contract? Spam, 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 spam. Rather than compartmentalizing, because that's what we really do when we do laundry. We put all of the towels together, all of the shirts together, and then we take them once, right? So compartmentalizing. So this is kind of my secret hack for how I get so much done is I compartmentalize everything. Emails come in, they get compartmentalized. And I have files, right? So I see the email, it goes in a file. See the email, it goes in a different file. When I get to that compartment or that time block, that's the time block that comes out because I'm doing activities that are the same. So if I'm going to download all my bank statements, I'm not going to download one and then, I got another email from another bank statement. So let me stop doing this and start doing that. They all come together and I do like-minded activities at the same time.
Oh, I love that. That is such a great hack because we think that we're really great at multitasking, and the reality is we can't multitask. And I'll share a quick exercise, if I may, that just demonstrates this. So if you're listening or watching, what I'd like you to do is get out something to time yourself and say 1 to 10 as fast as you possibly can and write down the time. And then I want you to do the same, reset and do A to J as fast as you possibly can and write that down. And then reset again and now do 1A, 2B, 3C, 4D and see.
Well, you've obviously practiced. It would take me forever to do it. Yeah.
And it's because it uses different parts, and I use it just to really bring home your point. That is actually what we do is take longer. We distract. We are less impactful if we are spreading it out. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe the time's gone. I mean,
I know.
Before we go, and we definitely need to have you back on and share some more. But before we go, how can people get in touch with you, and who do you help?
Yeah. So the best way to get in touch with me is to visit my website at ladyjenduplessis.com. We'll have the link there below, and there's a contact with me. That's the best way. I'm all over social media though at Lady Jen, so you can find me, Lady Jen Du Plessis. So that's the best way to get in touch with me. Who I serve is savvy, high-end, high-producing business owners and entrepreneurs who are tired of the hustle and are ready to move to harmony because they're working in and on their business every day rather than above and beyond their business. They want a business that runs without them. getting out of the minutia. So if you've had enough, if this sounds like you, right? You've had enough of this and you want to figure out a way to live your legacy while you're building it instead of being in the grinds of building it, then let's have a chat.
Amazing. Lady Jen, it has been an absolute delight as always. The time just always runs away with us.
I know. We're going to have fun in London.
We are. I'm looking forward to that next month. But thank you for coming on again and sharing with us your insight and your expertise. It is greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
And to everybody listening and watching, I hope you found today's episode as insightful and inspiring as I have. And until next time, take care.